Hi, it's Dr. Susan, and I wanted to talk to you about some of the most common myths that I hear about hormone replacement therapy. Just as a refresher, we lose three major hormones when we go through menopause: estradiol, testosterone, and progesterone. So hormone replacement therapy is the art of replacing those hormones that have been lost so that we can feel optimal and function the way we did when we were younger. Now, I sometimes think about a really complicated machine. Just think about a Ferrari or maybe a rocket ship, and we're 100 times more complex than either one of those, by the way. But if you had one of those things, you would replace all of the meticulous things that it needed: the oil, the gasoline. And if you didn't, it wouldn't run well. It might run, but not very well. So that's what happens when our hormones are depleted. Some of the common myths that quite frankly developed from that very old study some of us might remember from 2002 called the Women's Health Initiative. That was almost 19 years ago, folks. Could we please just burn that in the fire? But I remember the day it came out and it said, "Hormones cause cancer. Stop taking hormones." Long story short, that study was misreported. It was using a hormone we don't use anymore, a synthetic chemical that came from horse urine, as well as another synthetic chemical called Provera. We don't use those hormones anymore, and we also don't take them by mouth. So long story short, when we take estrogen, bioidentical estradiol, and we do not take it by mouth, we don't see the complications that occurred in that study. So many of us heard estrogen causes blood clot, heart disease, stroke, and breast cancer. So when I say estrogen, people say breast cancer. It's a thing that we put together from years and years of conditioning. But guess what? Even in that study, the women who took estrogen only did not have an increased risk of breast cancer. Even the authors of that study came out and reminded us in 2017 that that was not the case. So estradiol is neutral for breast cancer. It does not cause breast cancer to occur when it otherwise would not have. But you know, breast cancer happens. 1 in 8 of us get it, so we might get breast cancer. If we do, it will happen whether we took estrogen or whether we didn't. So that's been proven, that's been asked and answered. Estradiol does not cause breast cancer. Now what it does do is it causes most breast cancers to grow. So we want to have a mammogram every year. In case we do get breast cancer, it will be caught early. So you can take that one off your list of things to worry about. Estrogen does not cause breast cancer. Not even in the Women's Health Initiative study with that awful chemical Premarin. It did not increase the risk of breast cancer. The second thing that people worry about is that estrogen causes blood clot, heart disease, and stroke, because in that study it actually did. But that was because it was given by mouth, and it upsets the liver, which is where we produce our blood clotting factors. So many, many very big studies have done that have proven that estrogen that is not given by mouth, that could be a pellet, a patch, a cream, anything that doesn't go through your stomach, does not increase the risk of blood clot, heart disease, or stroke. So you can take those off your things to worry about as well. What I would worry about is not taking hormones. So let's talk about what happens when you don't take estrogen. You have an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. I don't want that. Of bone loss that leads to fracture. Hip fracture. I don't want that when I'm older. Also an increased risk of colon cancer. And we now know that testosterone, if you take it along with estrogen, which is what I take and I recommend, actually decreases the risk of breast cancer. So if you are taking a combination of estrogen and testosterone, your risk of breast cancer actually is decreased. Not because of the estrogen, because that's neutral, but because of the testosterone. So those are some very common myths about hormone replacement that we want to debunk. They're old, and if your doctor says those to you, you can say, you know, guess what? I'm a little more educated perhaps than you are now, because not everybody keeps up with the latest science. There's a lot out there. That study is 19 years old. Let's throw it in the trash and go with modern science. Estrogen and testosterone are good for you. I would be worried about not taking them. I would not be worried about taking them. And I have testosterone in my bottom right now and estrogen, and I say all the time, I will be wearing it at my funeral. And I hope you will be too. It's never too late, and you never have to stop it.